You know, I've been thinking lately. I know it's kind of a scary thing, but I've been thinking a lot how how setting short-term goals and essentially working in the future um, is really the only way to really accomplish anything useful at work without feeling like you're overwhelmed, stressed out, and can't get anything done. So let me explain. This is something I've been thinking about for a while, off and on. And I really haven't put my figure on quite how to express it, but I'm going to try this Card Talks. So what I'm thinking about is, whenever you have, whenever you feel like your day is going well, whenever you feel like you're getting a lot done, your projects are going well, everything is fine, when does that usually occur? That usually occurs when, for me at least, when I feel like I have a sense of control. I don't have all these things popping off all over the place that I don't expect. I don't have all these, crazy support calls or, a coworker coming by and says, "Oh, can we do this right now? Can we fit this in the project or something like that?" It's not all about feeling like you got everything done that you were supposed to get done. And that's fine and dandy, but how do you actually get to that point? How you get to that point is by having, by defining some sort of plan earlier on. So what I mean by that is, like, think about this. Let me go back to an example here. So, as an example, let's say that you have a project to, roll out a new version of software to a bunch of machines. Okay, so if you don't, as part of that, you're always going to develop some kind of project plan or some kind of plan, in general. Like, okay, we're define all the machines, where the machines are going to, how the machines are going to get updated, define how long this is going to take, and all just the different steps that it takes to actually get there to make it happen. And if you are able to properly think about this stuff and not get caught up in the day-to-day, all the fires and getting distracted and everything, and properly think about, this is what it takes to do this. This is what it takes. About got smoked there. Oh well. Card Talks. Anyway, so that's what it takes to to do this task, to do this task, to do this task. And instead of just muddling through and saying, yeah, they'll take, a week or two. I don't know what it takes, without actually thinking through things. What you're going to find is you're going to hit these roadblocks, and it's going to be stressful as hell. You're going to get stressed out. You're going to just want to take shortcuts, do it faster and faster and faster and faster and faster to meet this crazy deadline that you may not even have thought through in the first place. Eventually, it's just going to turn into a bad day. You continue that over and over and over and over again. Eventually, that turns into a culture, and that's what's called a toxic culture. So, it's really hard for me to put a exact description on this, but it seems like anytime that you are successful at something, at a project, at getting something completed, it's about working in the future. You're never supposed to fight the fires right then and stop. Fight a fire, stop, and don't ever think past today. You should be always thinking about in the future, next week, next month, where are we doing, and periodically evaluating these things, like where we're going to go, how we're going to do this. Another good example is, let's say fighting a fire. You have a support call. Somebody calls the support desk, and they say, I can't get into my email. Well, the support person, says, well, reboot your computer or restart Outlook or, something like that. And then it say, oh, it's fixed. Okay, thank you, bye. That's thinking in the now. That's thinking in today. That's not actually fixing the core issue, the root issue of why that happened, in the first place. That could be a whole nother Card Talks. But it's about thinking like, okay, the user is having this problem now. but what's going to prevent them happening now? So you automatically think when a user calls in and says, I have a problem with the Outlook, you think, okay, you go through that what if scenario in your head. Okay, this person's having this problem now. What if it happens tomorrow? What if it happens next week? And you think about, that's just going to be terrible for both of us because the user can't get an email and I don't want all these calls. So you start reevaluating kind of your mindset of how you fix problems. That, you think about, this is going to be bad in the future if this keeps happening. And if you're just kind of putting a Band-Aid on it and just saying go away for a little bit without even, figuring out the root cause of diving in a little bit, you're probably going to get that over and over and over again, and you're going to be on this big hamster wheel of break fix, break fix, break fix, break fix, break fix. And that's not what anybody wants to do. In a perfect world, there would be no support desk. There would be no help desk, because everything would just work perfectly in a nirvana world with unicorns pooping rainbows and all that good stuff. But that kind of gives you the goal of what to do. The same thing with automation, with an automation engineer like what I am in DevOps. If in a perfect world we would have nobody doing deployments manually. A developer would write his code would get checked in, it would go all the way through to production, and bam, there would be no manual testing, nobody in the middle. It just completely simplifies the whole process. Again, unicorn world. But you should always have that thought in the back of your head, like, in a perfect world, how is this thing that I'm doing going to relate in a perfect world? How am I doing that? And to get your head around that is always be thinking in the future. Don't think the now. Just when for an automation, if you're an IT professional, for if you want to learn PowerShell, write a script, you're fixing something now. Why don't you write a script? And instead of writing documentation on how to fix it, why don't you either fix the root cause if you can, or if not, then at least write some code, write a script or something to be able to, you could just fix it, immediately instead of running through a bunch of documentation. It's all about thinking in the future. You run through this thing, it takes a day, all this stuff, and you don't document it. You think about this, okay, if I run into this exact same thing again next week or next month or next year, I'm going to have to go take this entire day again. Why don't I spend the time, either write some code or at least write some documentation on how to do this again? Because if I have to do this again, that's kind of the mindset you have to get in. Live in the future, develop the plan. Think about, what if I have to do this for the rest of my life? How do I want to improve this process to make this happen? It's kind of all that kind of mentality. But I know this Car Talks hasn't been really tactical, but this is kind of a concept I've been thinking about just in work and life in general. I mean, everything seems to come down to think just a little bit in the future. Think about how to improve the process, and just how to think, if I have to do this thing for the rest of my life, how would I do it? How would I do it again, and how would I make the process better?